Welcome to MediByte. Today, we're diving into a really important topic, why some painful memories just refuse to fade. And we're going to explore a powerful therapy that's helping so many people finally let go of the past.
Have you ever felt, haunted by something from your past, an event that just won't seem to go away no matter how much you want to move on? You are definitely not alone. And this quote from Dr. Bessel Kolk's incredible book, The Body Keeps the Score, really gets to the heart of it. Here's the thing. Trauma isn't just a bad memory. It's a physical thing, an imprint that literally lives inside our bodies, right here in the present. So before we can even talk about healing, we've got to understand, why do these memories get stuck in the first place?
So why does it feel like some memories are just frozen in time? Well, it's because a traumatic event can totally reorganize how our brain handles everything we see and feel. It's almost like the body's alarm system gets switched on, and then the off switch breaks. It's just constantly scanning for danger, even when you're perfectly safe.
Okay, now take a look at this. This brain scan shows us something pretty amazing about what happens during a flashback. See that area that's all lit up? That's the amygdala, the brain's smoke detector, and it is absolutely screaming, "Danger!" But look at what's not lit up, the parts of your brain that understand time and context. And this is so important. It means the brain isn't just remembering the past, it's literally reliving it, as if it's all happening for the very first time. There's no sense of that was then, this is now, it's all just now.
The way the brain does this is through a process called dissociation. When an experience is just too much to handle, the brain kind of shatters it into pieces to protect you. An image here, a sound there, a feeling in your body, and all these fragments can just pop up in the present, totally out of the blue. That fragmentation is exactly why they don't get woven into the normal, everyday story of our lives.
So you can see why, if trauma isn't stored like a regular story, just talking about it might not be enough to heal it, right? You can't just rationally talk the emotional part of your brain out of feeling what it's feeling. To really heal, the body itself has to learn that the danger is over. And that requires a different approach, one that goes beyond just talk therapy.
And that is where EMDR comes into the picture. It stands for Eye Movement Desensitization and Reprocessing, and it's a type of therapy specifically designed to work with the brain's own information processing system, the very system that got overwhelmed and stuck in the first place.
But that brings up a huge question, doesn't it? If bringing up the past feels just like reliving it all over again, how on earth can anyone revisit it safely to heal? I mean, that's the core challenge that EMDR was created to solve, finding a way to access those frozen-in-time memories so they can finally be processed.
So how does this actually work? Let's kind of break it down and demystify the whole process. The big idea here is to give the brain's own natural healing system a little jump start.
So here's the heart of it. A person briefly focuses on the traumatic memory while doing something called bilateral stimulation. A lot of the time, this just means following a therapist's finger back and forth with your eyes, but it can also be sounds or taps. And this simple rhythmic action seems to unlock something really profound. The mind just starts making new connections on its own, linking that old memory to new information and experiences. And that helps put the memory into a much larger context, making it less raw and, less terrifying.
And wow, this quote just perfectly captures the result. This is from a patient named Maggie after an EMDR session. You can feel the shift, can't you? She was able to see that old memory from a completely new perspective. And that shift is everything. It's the moment when that heavy feeling of self-blame can finally start to turn into self-compassion.
And this right here, this is the magic ingredient. EMDR helps create something called dual awareness. It lets you have one foot in the past, feeling those emotions, while keeping your other foot planted firmly in the safety of the present. Being able to observe the past without being totally swallowed by it, that's what makes healing possible.
So what's actually changing in the brain? Let's get into the science of how this transformation happens, how something goes from being a terrifying flashback to just a memory.
Let's put it this way. Before EMDR, the experience is a jumble of raw pieces that feel like a threat that is happening right now. The goal is not to erase the memory. It's to integrate it, to weave it into a complete story about something that happened a long time ago. It becomes a part of your history instead of a constant threat in your present.
And look, the research really backs this up. This study, funded by the National Institute of Mental Health, compared EMDR to Prozac. And the results were, honestly, pretty staggering. After 8 months, 60% of the folks in the EMDR group were considered cured of their PTSD symptoms, and they kept getting better on their own. Meanwhile, those on Prozac often relapsed once they stopped the medication.
So the big question is, why does this even work? Well, we don't know for sure, but one of the leading theories connects it to something our brains do every single night. The back and forth eye movements might actually mimic what happens during REM sleep, dream sleep. That's when our brain is hard at work processing the day's events and filing away memories. So EMDR might just be tapping into the brain's own natural built-in healing system.
All right, as we start to bring this all together, let's zoom out for a second. What's the real goal of all this work? Because it's about so much more than just making symptoms go away. It's about reclaiming your life.
This quote really says it all. Healing from trauma is about getting back in the driver's seat of your own life. It's about being able to know what you know and feel what you feel, without being completely overwhelmed by it all.
Okay, so let's quickly run through the big takeaways from all this. First, trauma is physical. It's an imprint, not just a story. Second, because of that, healing means you have to integrate those memories, not just talk about them. Third, EMDR is a powerful tool that helps the brain's own processing system get unstuck. And finally, the whole point of this is to feel fully alive and in charge of yourself, right here, right now.
And that's the question we want to leave you with. How can you begin to reclaim your story? It's a journey, for sure, but it's one that starts with understanding that healing is absolutely possible, and that you can move from being defined by your past to becoming the author of your future.
Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer. If you found it valuable, please like, share, and subscribe to MediByte. We'll keep bringing you more clear, evidence-based explainers on health and the human mind. We'll see you next time.